The housing market's out here doing things I genuinely can't explain, and I'm a realtor and a mortgage loan officer, so that's saying something. Hey folks, Glenn Hockersmith here, realtor, occasional loan officer, and full-time person who did not get into real estate to understand the bond market. It's Friday, May 22nd. Let's break down what happened this week in real estate. So Homes.com dropped a really interesting piece this week about two economic shifts that are quietly hammering home buying power right now. And I say quietly because nobody's really panicking, but the math is just not mathing for a lot of buyers. First shift, inflation's creeping back up, which is keeping rates elevated longer than anyone had hoped. Second shift, job market uncertainty. People aren't losing their jobs left and right, but they're nervous enough that they're sitting on their hands. Combine those two things and you get a market where buyers have the power, but they're not necessarily using it, which honestly, I get it. Okay, now here's where I get to actually enjoy my job for a minute, because Louisville's doing some big things. The local market's holding steady. Median home price is right around $259,000, up about 4% from last year. Homes are taking about 48 days to sell, which means it's not the frenzy of 2022, but it's not slow either. It's a normal market. Remember those? But here's what's really exciting. The development news this week's pretty wild. So new renderings dropped for a $250 million mixed-use development right next to Slugger Field, like right next to the baseball stadium. Meanwhile, the old Brown & Williamson Tower on South 4th is getting gutted for a proposed luxury hotel conversion, and the historic Hubbock building downtown just got city funding for a $15 million makeover. That's residential and retail coming to the heart of downtown. In West Louisville, nearly $250 million in planned investment. Affordable housing, dining, health clinics, and something called the West Louisville Sports and Entertainment System, which I have no idea what that really is, but sounds like something I'd buy a season ticket to. So Louisville's not sitting still. The city's building, or at least planning to build. Now I have to be careful talking about rates because I'm also a licensed mortgage loan officer, and if I start throwing numbers around on the internet, my compliance officer might appear out of nowhere like some kind of regulatory ghost. So I'll say this, rates are still in the sixes. They haven't done what many of us have wanted them to do, and if you want the actual current number that applies to your situation, I know someone you can call. What I can tell you is this. The buyers who are waiting for a perfect rate are watching Louisville development news and wishing they'd bought 2 years ago. Don't be that person in 2028. So if you want to talk about buying, selling, or just making sense of all this Louisville or Southern Indiana news, drop a comment, send me a DM, or do the thing that Gen Z hates more than they hate boomers, and pick up the phone and give me a call. I'm Glenn Hockersmith. Hit follow for your weekly update, and I'll see you next Friday. Unless one of those development projects hire me as a consultant, in which case, probably still see you next Friday.